and honestly, really where we are at here in Knoxville with the assistant coaches and the head coach that we have here. I've told them on multiple occasions, like I need to be around this group and this team more than you all need me. Like I need to be around the people that are going to help me up my game, but also be willing to be there when hey I'm not at my best, and they're there helping me out.
Welcome to the Creative Brew, helping you keep your creative juices brewing. We're giving out chunks of insight, motivation, and practicality for your creative journey. If you're a creator, athlete, or entrepreneur, luck can only get you so far. Having the right skill sets are critical in your success. All Skill No Luck makes handcrafted, custom-designed flannel wear, made in the United States and based here right in Oceanside, California. They pride themselves on quality, creativity, and attitude. The perfect brand for the Creative Brew. Use promo code CreativeBrew10 and get 10% off and free shipping within the United States. You can check them out at allskillnoluck.com. My next partner is Elevate Coffee Trading, and if you appreciate specialty coffee, enjoy outdoor adventure, and love helping elevate the lives of children around the world, then you're going to love Elevate Coffee Trading. Their mission is to extract hope through love, coffee, and adventures. There's free shipping in the United States, and every bag of coffee helps sponsor health and education for children in coffee-producing countries and in areas of need in the United States. You can use promo code ELEVATE21 on your next order, and you can follow their journey on social media at Elevate Coffee Trading. Or you can visit online at elevatecoffeetrading.com, and let's start extracting hope together. The Kobo Pod is a boutique video and audio production studio based in Oceanside, California. And if you're a podcaster, vlogger, content creator, you should really come by and check out the venue for yourself. Anytime that I bring in a guest, they're amazed by the setup, amazed by the quality, the production value. Like I said, I think the Creative Brew just went up a notch. I actually went up incredible levels, partnering up with the Kobo Pod and been able to create, 4K video. Everything looks great. Even the photographer that we have on staff, I use a lot of their photography for branded assets for the Creative Brew, as well as the audio for my podcast and my radio show. So if you want to feel like booking your session, and maybe you're thinking about starting a podcast, or maybe heck, you want to just sit in one day, I'm doing a podcast, or I'm doing a show. Hey, come by, check it out. See the venue, see the setup, check out everybody. It's a great vibe here. But let's book your session today at kobopod.org. And welcome to a new episode of the Creative Brew, giving you insights on your creative journey. Today we have Nick Eller. He is the owner of Tennessee Grappling Apparel that's based in Tennessee. Like I said, my home state, so I'm always gotta be proud of anyone sort of building anything from Tennessee, and especially in the wrestling industry. And there's I know there's only so many. Well, obviously there's a lot of little brands that's starting to pop up, specifically within the wrestling industry. But it's always cool seeing those new companies, new brands pop up, and what the vision was behind that, and what your plans are of building it as well as growing it. But I'll let Nick share his story and how he got started, and we'll go from there.
Well, hey, thank you so much for having me on here. Like I said, I've been a big fan since I found the podcast. You were actually one of our first followers on Instagram, so appreciate the support throughout. My name is Nick Eller. I'm the owner at Tennessee Grappling Apparel here out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and I am just fortunate, I think is the best word to describe really the journey to get to where we are right now. This has been a combination of two of my passions. The first being wrestling, which I've been a part of since I was a kid, probably 8, 10 years old, somewhere in there. I'm originally from North Carolina, and this was just part of what we did. We were always sort of, all the kids were in athletics. Wrestling was a sport that um, I just loved the thought of from the first experience that I had with it, practicing rolling around. And, the other passion that I have is just around being creative. I kind of all my life have been just drawing, painting. There's just a litany of stuff that uh, try to do just to be original writing, um, just a whole lot of different things. And this is really the combination of both of those passions with really a focus for me as a way of giving back to the sport and to the competitors. I'm fortunate enough to be an assistant coach, uh, both here locally at the high school as well as with our youth program. So I get to interact with a lot of great athletes and great kids and families. And, this was really the opportunity for me to give back, to give, something back to Tennessee as well. Something a little more focused on the area. We've got some really great wrestling down here, as you well know,
Yeah.
from the Cleveland area. So, um, and just to try to give athletes something they could be their own, and something that they can have that, hey, this is, I identify with this. And so we're working on building that brand and building out, but definitely thankful to be where we're at this point.
That's great. So how did the initial ideal start up for Tennessee Grappling Apparel? I know I've got my own little things that I have sort of built out, and I'm always sort of interested in seeing like what was like the initial ideal, like, or were you maybe in a, maybe it was a certain place or time, and someone was talking about something and you just sort of sparked the idea of like, hey, let's just grow our own brand. What was that? Do you remember like what that initial sort of catalyst to of starting this brand?
Yeah, I have a real good friend of mine. His name is John. He started up something very similar with the hockey community throughout just the Tennessee Southeast. He's done a number of things with it, and I would always pick his brain on the apparel side. And about the same time, my oldest son was transitioning from really being in love with hockey to he kind of came about this love for wrestling on his own, which made, as a dad, proud dad moment, right? I was really excited about that. But, I think a lot of it was around, we got to talking about that. My son's getting into wrestling, and, and I'm really just elated at that. And the more that we start talking and stuff, because he wants to go all in with whatever he does. So it's, hey, I want to get the shirts, the shoes, I want all these, name brand stuff. And I'm just like, this is all great, but you know, I really wanted to have like a lifestyle brand. And that's when I got to talking more and more with my friend, not something that, is just specifically for, wrestlers or, just grapplers in general, but hey, something you can wear out. We're trying to diversify what we put out there product wise, and just trying to, hey, is there, I've got my friend that does this. It doesn't seem like it's too, the way he's explaining it to me, it doesn't seem like it's too much. What can I do? Why not me?
Yeah.
Back to those three words, why not me? So that's sort of how this all started going. And literally, I was just laying in bed one night, uh, trying to sleep, just real restless, and I knew that I needed to do something. I was like, I've got too many of these thoughts, too much of this creative energy that's going on. I'm just restless. I need an outlet. What can we do? And that's sort of where I just made that decision of I'm gonna take this route, see where it leads us, and that's really what started all this.
Yeah, that's great. You actually proved a really great point, and this is something I've really been trying to reiterate in a lot of my podcasts, is that there's a lot of people that have these these all these ideals, and all these things that they want to do or want to create, and they tend to leave it in their head. And what happens a lot of times, and I've mentioned this before, is that it can, if you don't express it in somehow, if you don't express that creative energy, putting it on paper, or maybe just experimenting with something, it starts to, yeah, it really starts to turn toxic, and turns into a swamp. And that negative energy can pour out in all kinds of forms of fashion if you don't allow yourself to express yourself in any kind of creative manner. So yeah, I know personally, I know I've had those restless nights. I've had those times where it's just my head's just been racking with certain things, and like, okay, I got to get this down on paper, or it's going to drive me insane. So yeah, that's one of those where a lot of people tend to keep it in their head, and that's literally the worst thing you can do, because then you start to get resentful, then you start to get just mad for no reason, because you hadn't, put that creative energy out into another form, or into another outlet, to where you can, where you can positively, express that, those ideals. So yeah, that's a great insight. Um,
Yeah, and it
so
definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
no,
you
no,
there.
okay, yeah.
But that was one of the things that I sort of found out about myself later on in life was, the my response to the restlessness, just like you talked about a couple of episodes back, about just surrendering to some stuff and just saying yes, and how important that is. And that was something that before I even heard the episode was really heavy on my mind. Was just, and that's really what's sort of led to this as sort of my just really labor of love in a lot of ways for not just the sport, not just the creative side, but for me, it's also for myself, because this is how I cope with a lot of things. Be it, I sort of go into those creative sides with, um, I often tell people, I have to find ways to um, sort of find that balance in my life between, the full-time job, the kids, family life, family commitments. And on top of that, I've always sort of had these issues with anxiety and depression and stuff. And so it's always come back to, for me, this is as much for my own well-being to be able to put stuff out there and to get it out just beyond my head, or, my sketchbook, or things like that. So,
Mhm.
I believe there's a lot of, there's a lot of positive things that come from being able to do that, and just making that commitment to, hey, I'm just going to throw it out there.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned, I know, just momentarily, you had mentioned, just mental health, depression. I know I recently talked to a fellow creative out here, and was at a vendor market, and she was talking to me about some things she was doing, and she was actually struggling with, and one of those was depression. I know all creators deal with that in some form or fashion. It could be small, or it could be really, really huge, and it could be a huge challenge for a lot of people. Do you feel like, I mean, for you, how do you deal with depression? I mean, I know for the one that for the creator that talked to me, I know I think she was working on some kind of a comic book project, and she pretty much just zoned out. Like, she went to depression and didn't do anything,
Mhm.
and she finally got herself back up and going. So I definitely applaud her for that. But for you, like, how do you deal with depression as a creative?
It took a long time to sort of realize how to best approach it for me, because a lot of times, especially on the creative side, going through really those downward slides, I let a lot of things lay dormant, not just on the creative side, but with my own physical health, with just a number of things. I can't stress enough to people how important it is to have a great support system around you, and to, do what you can to, make sure that you understand what leads into that. What, are there factors that sort of trigger that to trigger the onset of your depression, or, moving forward. I'm really, like I said in the intro, like I always feel blessed to, it seems like at all the right times, I've had the right people around me to sort of help me, address that. And, if not, and if someone doesn't have that, the best encouragement I can get is to seek that out, to be proactive when it's the hardest thing to do. And that's where, I think a lot of, I'll fall back to, some of my previous experience from wrestling, from, sort of the athletic background. It's just fighting through, and that's not the same for everyone. It's not, unfortunately, it's not a one size fits all. But my support staff, from my wife to my kids to my parents, and honestly, really where we are at, here in Knoxville with the assistant coaches and the head coach that we have here. I've told them on multiple occasions, like I need to be around this group and this team more than you all need me. Like I need to be around the people that are going to help me up my game, but also be willing to be there when, hey, I'm not at my best, and they're there, helping me out. And it's just, for me, it's always been my support system. And I would just encourage people, hey, if nobody, if you don't have anyone around, look me up on Instagram, look me up on Facebook. I'll be there for you. Like that's just how I feel about it.
That's great. That's great. So with Tennessee Grappling Apparel, what things are you offering? What things do you feel like from a lifestyle standpoint? What I think what makes you different from maybe some of the other brands that's out there?
We try to go a little more original, grassroots with everything. Some of the basic stuff, from t-shirts to hats. We just threw some socks up on the side to see, where that goes. And honestly, our focus is on not just the current competitors. If you've got a history with the sport, if you just love the sport, you got a kid in the sport, this is for you. We want to give something, hey, you can just wear around. We try to sample out products on a regular basis just to make sure that what we're putting out there is good. But from the type of shirts and stuff that we're getting, that we're putting out there, the one thing that I'm probably the most proud of what we've been able to do. And when I say we, it really is a family effort. It's my wife, it's my kids have a ton of clothes, and I'm just like, hey, I need you to throw this shirt on because we're going to this tournament, and just put it on. Just help dad out for a second, right? But I've really been blessed to be able to have a lot of people respond to our girls line. The raise her hand is something that we have been really focused on, and it's very personal to me. So I have 3 kids. I have a 13-year-old son, a 5-year-old son, and then I have a 7-year-old daughter who has found the sport of wrestling. And we're fortunate enough to have a really strong girls program here, and they have just taken her, under their wing. And she goes out to practices and stuff, and hangs out with them. And I see the doors that the women's wrestling is starting to open up, and it's given another option. Not every girl's going to want to play basketball, not every girl's going to want to cheer, and this is an opportunity for them. And just seen some girls do some amazing things, that those opportunities, back when we were younger, those weren't really available.
Yeah.
And so we take one good thing that I can say about that line, as well as what we try to do with a portion of any proceeds that we get is we try to reinvest that back into the community. We try to do what we can to make donations, whether it be through advertising or just straight up, hey, if a kid doesn't have something, we'll find a way to get it to them. If a kid needs help getting to a tournament or anything like that, we're going to do what we can to help them. It's, this is, like I said, it's as much as giving back to the sport as it is, trying to make it a business all of its own. And honestly, that's been probably the most rewarding thing of this.
Yeah. I think anytime you've got a strong vision and a mission for any brand, I think that keeps you going, especially when you just getting going, and you have those doubts sometimes, like, man, did I make the right decision? And but at those, that mission and that vision, man, it keeps you going. It's one of those where I know easily, even from my, with my creative business, I know there's a bunch of times where I felt like, okay, this is it. I think I'm done. But you always, like, little things always pop up to make you feel like, okay, I'm going the right direction. I just have to, stay the course, and just be consistent, be patient. I think a lot of times everybody, see certain things on Instagram, on, social media, and they feel like, man, I should have this right now. And it doesn't happen like that. And I think the more, especially a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creators, I think the more they get used to the fact that, hey, look, you may have to go do this course for 10 years before it blows up. Like I said, you have to go that destination. But I think it's gonna be worth it.
Absolutely. And nothing's overnight, right? And that was, talk about a kick in the pants whenever I started this, because I was like, oh yeah, this thing, we'll launch this. It's going to go live. People are going to absolutely love it. And then you just sit there and, like, 5-6 weeks later, and I'm sitting here looking at views on the site, and I'm like, wait a second, these are all me clicking on the site. Like, it's very humbling, but but at the same time, it's, like you said, it's so rewarding, and you have to keep at it. And I think one thing that, whether someone is, whether they're in the creative business or not, whether they're, if they're just someone who follows along, who, purchases stuff from us, or anything like that, you never know, like, they will never know how much just a thank you means. When I've had kids come up to me and be like, hey, thanks for this, or hey, we really like this, love this shirt, that sort of just positive affirmation of just your work is getting out there and helping people. That to me, like, those are the things that really keep me going with this, even when things are slow, or things like that, when it's real easy to be like, I can just go do my full-time job. This would be great, and then this stress can go away, and then it's just like, this is my outlet. This is where I have my fun at.
Yeah, especially with things like that, man. If it's something you built, from scratch, and I think those little things. I always feel like, people are always getting breadcrumbs in life. Little hunches, little things that tells you, like, you're supposed to be going this direction, but for whatever reason, you get stuck in your head feeling like, I need to go the other direction because, quote unquote, is what I'm supposed to be doing. And those breadcrumbs are telling you all through the course of your life, nope, this is where you need to be going. And some people take it and they create some kind of amazing life, and then some people get to the end of the road and feel like, man, I should have just created this business when I had the chance. And you get so many people that I've met, like, man, I could have done this, I could have done that. And the best time is right now. Heck, worst thing that can happen is it folds. That's the worst thing that can happen. I mean,
right. I mean, for me, it would just be, hey, I got to go down to the county clerk's office and close this thing out, and pay my taxes and all that stuff, and we're done with it. And I'll tell you, the best advice I was ever given it was actually at my full-time job, and one of the supervisors, I was mulling whether or not to take uh, to apply for another job within the company, and he told me, and I'll never forget. I was sitting in this office, and he's an older gentleman. He just looked at me. He said, "I'm going to tell you this: you have to take the opportunity of the lifetime within the lifetime of the opportunity, and you have to, when that comes, it's like you don't want to look back. Just keep looking forward." And I've just tried to, as those opportunities have become available, especially with this, that's what I've tried to do.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So with Tennessee Grappling Apparel, do you see yourself, staying within the confines of like the Knoxville, East Tennessee area, or do you feel yourself, expanding out to other states, or just Tennessee, in specific?
Yeah, I really want to take this wherever it'll go. Try to stay open ended with everything uh, as it relates to this business. If it takes us to, if it takes us across the country, that's hey, that'd be great. And I try to keep a very very open ended mindset, very much and also one of gratitude when it comes to it, is that any growth that we get, I want to be appreciative of it. And I want to, I don't want to just be an apparel place. We've kind of experimented with some little bit of blogging that we're about to throw another one up there here in the next couple of days, once I go through like my 5th or 6th proofreading of it, and get comfortable enough to put it out there. But eventually one day would like to get into some different projects, whether it may be, doing some podcasting, or just branching out and trying to, maybe it's, hey, how do we get the spotlight here locally? Maybe it's, putting on, hosting tournaments. Like, we're willing to help out wherever we can, but at the same time, the growth side of it, I would love to see, I'd love to see this thing take off, and I would love to see people get feedback and just, respond to it. And I saw my first, this is one of the coolest things. I saw my first shirt at a tournament, and I about lost it. Like, I was just like, kid was wearing it, and he was walking through the hall. And I had to do a double take, and it was my son that stopped me. He goes, "Dad, he's got your shirt on." I was like, "What?" And I was like, "The same one that I'm wearing?" The kid's got he's got a Gibbs High t-shirt on. What? And then I turned around and I looked, and it was actually the mullet t-shirt that took me all of like 10 minutes to draw up. Like, this kid's out there wearing it. I was like, "Hey, I like that shirt, man. I appreciate you buying that." And he kind of did a double take, and I was like, "Hey, that's my company, man. I appreciate you."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, those are the things, I want to grow for sure. I would love that this would become my full-time job, because then I know that, there's obviously, you want to follow your passion, and you want to go after, always that carrot that's out there dangling in front of us, right? And for me, I want to see this thing take off, and I don't want to do anything that's going to put limitations on it and say, I just want to be here. Let's go across the Southeast. Let's go. I want to hold. I guess my 5-year plan is to be able to get enough support and have enough, enough of an ability and bravery at the same time. I mean, we've got, multiple interstates intersecting here in Knoxville, and we've got this Coliseum that's sitting downtown, and there's no reason we can't fill that thing full of wrestling mats and invite a bunch of teams down here and just have a big tournament that rivals, you can get as many good teams there as you could at like Disney Duels or out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, let's try to make this thing as big as we can.
Yeah. Now, you know what, you just brought up something interesting. Because I'm always, I've been in wrestling all my life, and I'm always, I think specifically for me, I'm always sort of, been under the, being in the creative space, but also being in the wrestling industry, um, it's amazing. It's actually pretty surprising how much, um, I guess, the innovation. Probably the best way to put it. Like sometimes the innovation isn't there when it could be. With wrestling, you've got a lot of coaches, organizations are really great, as far as with the actual sport, but figuring out ways of promoting it, they can be, sometimes they can be a little short-sighted on what they could do. Do you feel like, I mean, maybe from your perspective, because there's so many high schools within the Knoxville area, do you feel like there could be a better collaboration with certain events, or maybe putting on certain events than it is now?
I do. I think one of the biggest things right now that is uh, holding, at least holding us up, I would say, is we're starting to see more of a resurgence around the Knoxville area, at least around wrestling. A lot of kids programs have really picked up here, and we're starting to get to where we're seeing that funnel into our high school programs. But there's still a little bit of a drop off there, and I
Mhm.
think it's I think there's still a lot of the old school mentality of it. I mean, I'm not telling you anything here. I mean, this is not a pretty sport. It's not a flashy sport. And I think that you compare that to like a football or a baseball or basketball. I think, kids look at it, and, even though and I'll admit I'm a reformed parent on this, but like, you know, people look at it like, well, there's no chance for my kid to go to college or play pro.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I can't guarantee that your kid's going to get a wrestling scholarship or anything like that. But if your kid will come try this and your kid falls in love with this, like I guarantee that they're going to come out of here being a good employee, a good husband, a good father, a mother, wife. That this sport instills values. A lot of it you don't see the benefits of it, or you don't reap a lot of the benefits of it until later on in life. I mean, I was the same way. I wasn't a great wrestler by any means whatsoever. um I was, never, I wrestled in North Carolina. I was, I never qualified for state or anything like that. I was at best probably a 500 wrestler, but that doesn't change my love for the sport
Oh no.
and my appreciation for it. And I think that, because there's such a small sample size. I mean, you think about it at the end of the year, across, at least in Tennessee, there's big school, small school, and the girls' state championship. So, grand total, you've got about 36 kids, individuals, that their season ends the way they wanted it to, with their hand race. Everybody else, it kind of ends in disappointment for the most part. So I think, one of the things that we could probably do a lot better with in promoting it and being more mindful of is just where's the payoff with it. Because I mean, there's youth sports, especially now, is my biggest frustration. Like, youth sports is a massive business.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's what are we preparing kids for? And I think that's where, maybe granted, there's a lot more access to wrestling now than when we were younger, but it's how do we get that? How do we advertise it? And I think, honestly, being able to do things like holding some bigger tournaments that are not in the Midwest, or not in the, in some tourist destinations, may help us out in that regard as well.
Yeah. That's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah, it's definitely one of those where I feel like there could be better collaboration with various things when, everybody's sort of doing their own thing, or maybe they're going off to another state for a tournament, to where, heck, we got all the facilities and everything here in, Knoxville. Why don't we hold something here? So that was something I was actually, just interested in, because I know everybody, I'm probably more connected with Cleveland High, but there's a lot of things now. They tend to do a pretty good job, promoting various things at their wrestling building. And then they always send out their kids, their club teams to various tournaments. But I was just interested to see how Knoxville, that Knoxville area was
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, we're coming along. I mean, it's still very baseball, football
Yeah.
heavy here, but you know, I think there's definitely a spot for wrestling in this area and in the surrounding areas where, you know, we could attract people to places like this, and you know, at least you know, I think if you have those type of tournaments and people know about it, you know, you got to increase the exposure to get the people out there. And you know, and speaking of Cleveland, I absolutely love what they do with their wrestling program down there. That's one of the things that actually just I think I sent you a message about it. I sent my kid down there to the Boskins Clinic down there,
Yeah.
and he absolutely loved it. So they do a really good job with all that, and I think that's something that, you know, other surrounding districts and you know, across Tennessee can kind of look at and see, hey, this is, you know, when you get a support system like that, you get people behind it. A lot of things opens a lot of doors.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely. Sometimes it makes it, you know, better or worse for the coach. But yeah, by the time they funnel in through middle school and high school, it's just they've got so much talent that runs through there. It's ridiculous now. But so yeah, going back to you. You know, what things are you know, that what kind of projects are you brewing on right now? Is there anything right now that, like, I think this could be a cool design that, you know, I'm looking to release, or maybe there's another sort of creative outlet within the brand. Is there anything that you're brewing on?
Yeah, so we're I've been working myself on really the last couple of months. I changed over the website just to make it a little more user friendly, and also to open up some more opportunities for me from a vendor standpoint of offering some different products. So we are looking at trying to do. Right now, it's just been transferring everything from the old side over and getting that into something that, you know, works for this particular site. But my really over the next month to 2 months, we are working on trying to get more of an insightful approach in terms of the blog itself. One of the things that I really enjoy doing on the, you know, outside of anything work related with anything is journaling and just kind of putting my thoughts down. I enjoy reading, and so a lot of the things that I've been reading lately have really stirred a lot up in me from a writing standpoint as I was going through and reading my journal of some of the goals and stuff that I have, and some of those things. It's I've been really wanting to get the writing side out a little bit more. I found out that I'm a tough critic of myself, but as we all are, right? But working on that, and then really setting ourselves up for August to kind of throw out a ton of new stuff, just some new options shirt wise. And we're really focusing on branching out our girls and women's apparel side. Just to give that, we've seen that gain a lot of traction, you know, as we've got, you know, girls wanting more than just kind of the standard little, you know, hey, girl wrestler, and then whatever, you know, slogan on the back of it that, but you know, we're really trying to, my wife's helping out a lot on that, which is huge, but we're trying to accelerate that a little bit, and trying to keep up with some of the latest trends. I've got a great sample group that is constantly throwing some ideas out at me, although I have to kind of sit there and be like, hey, that's probably not PC to where we can put this on here. But I appreciate the high school junior giving me the insight of, I would wear this. Well, okay. But, you know, so, but really focusing on trying to do the writing. I think that's as much an outlet for me as anything else. But I think there's enough like-minded people, especially that are around the wrestling community, that you know, a lot of the things, like I said, the things I'm reading right now relate a lot to that. And I've been trying to not just write about it and not just make everything like it needs to go into the site, but a lot of this stuff I've been applying to my daily life, as a dad, as a coach, and I'm just, it's something that I feel strongly enough about that I want to put it out there.
That's great. That's great. So creative tips. This is something that I ask all my guests. What is a creative tip or tips that you can provide our audience?
Um, don't be afraid to put anything out there, because you never know when the thing that you doubt the most is going to be what really gets things going for you. And I just use that because of that one stinking shirt that I had. That 10 minutes is all it took to put that little headgear on a hair on them, and like within like the first week, and I even made the joke with my wife hated it, by the way, but I made the joke with my wife. I said, hey, pointing at the computer screen, I was like, this is going to sell right here. Watch. I was like, it only took me 10 minutes. Everything else that I've spent a ton of time on, and, sure enough, it took off. But, don't be afraid. The thoughts that enter your mind, from a creative side, don't be afraid to put them down on paper or to get them out there to the world, because like you said, it can become toxic if they just sit there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great tip. Great tip. So before we sign off, what are some words of wisdom that you could provide our audience? Something that may resonate with someone's heart and mind and spirit when they listen to this episode. What are those words of wisdom?
I hope that there's been something in here, obviously, that helps someone out. Um, and I would just, I guess my words of wisdom are also encouragement, and that's to never give up on yourself or anyone else that's around you, because you never know who around you needs what it is that you have inside you, in terms of your whether it's your creative thoughts, whether it's words of encouragement or wisdom. Someone out there needs to hear what you've got to say, needs to see what you have envisioned in your mind. And I if anything, approach it from that mindset of, if you're wanting to help someone, if you're wanting to be encouraging to someone, those are the things. Just go, like I said, wrestling's had a huge, behind my religion and behind my family, it's wrestling's had the biggest impact, third on the list. And I look at who it is, in the room that we go, you can focus on those that are having success in their life. You can focus on the ones that are winning the championships in the room, that sort of thing. But, it may be that kid that's in the room that's going to end up breaking the cycle, within his family, and going to get an education beyond that. And you were the catalyst to help them get there and to give them that encouragement. And so I say, just approach everything from just a service mindset, help others. And that's what's helped me the most in my life. As far as there's been people around me that have done that for me, and I'm just trying to repay that debt.
And that's awesome, man. That's something that, yeah, I'm always, you know, um, even with my wrestling class, I'm always, talking to them, and I tell them, look, wrestling, it gives you so much, beyond the championships. That's awesome, but when your career is over and you're going to the next stage of your life, the things that you built in that practice room or competing, man, those things last forever. All the grit, all the perseverance, all the resiliency, all the times where you wanted to give up and you kept going, those things stay with you forever. And those are the things that I'm more interested in than those championships. The medals, the belts, all those things, they will fade over time.
Absolutely.
But those inner qualities, those things last forever, and that's something you can pass on to the next generation too as well. So yeah, great words of wisdom. So before we sign off, how can people reach out to you? Maybe get onto the website, purchase some items, connect with you. What's the best way for all that?
Hey, absolutely. So you can find us on social media, Instagram or Facebook at Tennessee Grappling Apparel. And then we also have the website where our online store is at, as well as the blogs and some of the team stuff that we do as well. That's at www.tennesseegrapplingapparel.com. It's all one big word, so people won't forget about it, because I wasn't thinking about that when I came up with it. But hey, it sticks with people when they when you got to write a paragraph out to get to the website. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was appreciate you having me on here for sure.
Oh, and no worries. Like I said, glad for you to come on and sort of share your story and your vision for Tennessee Grappling Apparel and where it is now and where it's going. And this is actually a quick PSA for any creator, anybody that's looking to build anything, or maybe having the ideal, or maybe you got something launched and you just feel like you're getting no quote unquote success right now. Hey, take it from Nick. He saw a shirt someone else was wearing. That is a viable ideal. If something sells, one thing sells, then you can go with it. It is doable. So and like I said, obviously it takes time and resources and cultivating and building, brand building. But if you know that one thing can sell, then that's you have a viable ideal. So that's just a quick PSA for any creator that may be on the fence about feeling like they should or shouldn't put their stuff out. Put it out. You just never know. You just never know. So once again, hey, this has been another great episode with me, with Nick, and this is the Creative Brew. Be creative, stay inspired. Thanks.